Hi, everyone. My name is Desiree Rhodes. I am the adult technology librarian at the Kirstein Business Library and Innovation Center. And this is WebCraft, where we'll be talking about not necessarily the platforms that you'll use to build your website, but how to get started when you would like to create a website. So a little housekeeping before we get into the presentation. Please feel free to put in any questions in the chat as I'm going through this, but there will be time at the end to answer any of your questions. But if you think of something, just put it in there. And if I can answer it in the moment, I certainly will. As you could tell, this is being recorded, so I will be sending the recording of this to all of you, as well as the slide presentation for you to review. There's a lot of information, so I don't want everyone to get overwhelmed by how much information is on this. I want you to be able to review all this for yourselves later on. All right, with that, let's go. So about the Kirstein Business Library and Innovation Center, we opened in May 1930, so we were about to celebrate our 95th birthday. We were originally a separate library in downtown Boston, and then we moved to the lower level of the Copley Central Library. And we've been here for about 20 years. And if you've ever come to visit us, we have resources for workforce development, investing. We have an entrepreneur in residence. We have the InnoLab, where we have recording, audio recording, video recording, editing softwares, the Adobe Suite, green screen. We are in the process of creating like a podcasting table, which is really exciting. So really come visit us whenever you're in Copley Square. We would love to have you. There's awesome resources that you can get as a Boston Public Library card holder. Anyone in Massachusetts can have a Boston Public Library card if you live, work, or go to school in Massachusetts. So it's an incredible resource for all of you. And you can learn about all our different programs in all of our different areas that we cover. So today we are going to be talking about building your website, the creation of it, the types of website, your website goals, the content, the design, and then I've created a little like spreadsheet of the different types of web hosting platforms that you can design in, kind of what they cost, how many have free trials, things like that, that you can also review at your leisure. So there are an estimated 1.5 to 2 billion websites online today. We can break down those websites into categories based on the style, its goals, its purpose, and its functionality. So in this course, we'll discuss everything you should consider before you embark on a website project. We'll explore different types of websites, the purposes of each, and help you choose which one is right for you to make an incredible site. We'll break down what makes a website great, including practical tips for layout and design, site navigation, color palette selection, typography, imagery, and written content. And this is really, creating your website is really a great way to be creative, to show your brand. If you've ever taken, I do a class on introduction to Canva, where we focus a lot on creating your brand, how to have your brand out there, consistency throughout all the different platforms where you're sharing your business. That is also a monthly program, so you can catch it next in April. So the different types of websites. When you're thinking about your own site and what style will suit you, it helps to have a look at all the types of sites out there. Most websites fall into one of 5 main categories: informational, sales, portfolio, e-commerce, and editorial. So this is not to say that these are the only 5 websites. So there are certainly many other kinds, but these are kind of like the 5 main groups that a lot of the other different types of websites can kind of be combined into. So an informational website. What is it? It is a website designed primarily to share information. So, you know, when you think of Wikipedia, Wikipedia is an informational website. It's the most common style And they're sometimes called brochure websites because they're kind of like a digital version of an organization's brochure. In addition to text, informational websites can include images, audio, and video. The main purpose of an informational website is to share key messaging with the website visitor. Many are created to convey details of the 5 W's of an organization: the who, the what, how, where, and why the business exists. The site should share information about the business and how people can get in touch. Frequently seen sections on an informational website include a home page, an about page, and a contact page. A common goal of an informational website is visibility. That is to have something online when a prospective client or customer is searching for you. So you want them to be able to contact you. It's just expected that an organization will have a website, and an informational site is kind of like a digital calling card. So, this is where you're going to send your customers to find information about your business, about you. If you have a portfolio, this is the kind of thing. And again, they should match your informational website should match the branding of the company, displaying your logo, font, and color choices that are used elsewhere in the company's marketing materials. So again, if you are interested in even creating your brand, we do have a class. In our Canva class, we do talk a lot about branding and the importance of that. So definitely check that out. And again, the consistency is key to creating a cohesive professional look for the organization. They don't have to be complex. They don't have areas where people can log in, and they don't have online shopping capabilities. That is for different types of websites. Again, you can combine the different types of websites. So you can have a website that is both informational and like e-commerce. We'll talk about that. Many small businesses have informational websites, but they're not the only type of organization that does. Informational sites are popular with nonprofit organizations as well, who use them to educate and inform website visitors. So you could think of bpl.org as an informational website. We are a hub for information already, but that is how you find all of your information about the library, about the resources we offer, about programs we offer, about to search the catalog. You are logging into it. So it is the bpl.org is a good example of like a combined kind of combining several different types of websites, but it is, probably first and foremost informational. A key consideration of an informational website is to keep it up to date. But I can't express, you imagine if you move so people can't find your offices, or if your phone number changes, or your hours change, or any other any information changes, you want to make sure that that's always kept up to date, because it's vitally important, especially if you are trying to gain customers, or it just looks good and professional. You want to make sure that that information is up to date. I'm sure we've all encountered websites where we're like, wow, all this information is so out of date. This is pretty useless to me. So your informational website should always reflect what's going on inside of your business. All right, sales websites. Arguably the most straightforward type of website online today is a sales website. It is a website designed solely to sell a product or service. It can be a single landing page rather than a full website. They're often just one page. For that reason, they're sometimes called landing pages. They're the page that someone lands on after clicking on an online ad, a search engine result, or a link shared on a social media. These web pages aren't very complex, technically speaking. They mostly contain information, so they're similar to the informational websites we discussed before, but unlike an informational website, these ones have a very narrow focus. They're the digital equivalent of an infomercial. They take the website visitor on a step-by-step journey. In the marketing world, this customer journey is often called a sales funnel, because the customer moves from not even knowing about a product or service to being aware of it, to questioning whether it's right for them, to eventually purchasing. So, you see an ad on Instagram and you click on it, you go to a page, it's selling a product, that sort of thing. Videos and images can be included on a sales website, but the most effective sales websites lean hard on strong copywriting. The page layout is usually long with content areas punctuated with buy now buttons between sections. That's the purpose of this page. So you want to have a lot of areas where people can click to add something to their cart. That's because some prospective customers may be ready to make their purchase without needing to read further. They might see something on Instagram. They might say, oh my God, that's exactly what I've been looking for. Let's buy it right now. Or they might see something and say, that looks interesting. I want to learn some more. But so you want to have those buy now buttons interspersed throughout the page. So if you click on this link, which I'm not going to do right now, that's on the bottom, just so you can see, you'll be able to go to kind of an example of what a sales website or a landing page looks like, just to get an example. Next, we have a portfolio website. I don't know if anyone was at our program last night, The Business of Art, The Art of Business, which will be a monthly series where we focus on creatives in their different areas and how they've become successful business people. But we did talk about, we had a photographer speak yesterday and he was discussing his portfolio website. So as it implies, portfolios are show a body of work for whoever your company is. So again, say it's a photographer, so you want to show your work. If you type your own name or business into a search engine, that's the first result that comes in. It could be one of your own social media profiles, or it could be your own website. If you have a portfolio style site, it will tell the visitor all about yourself, your professional abilities, and give them a way to get in touch. So if you've ever been searching for professional photographers for, say, like a wedding, you want to see an example of their body of work to be like, does their style suit what I'm looking for? A portfolio style website is an online hub to present a body of work. It exists so that you have something online to show a prospective client, customer, or employer at the moment they're searching for you. So again, if you are trying to, say, get a grant or get involved in a project, you want that employer to be able to look at your portfolio and see what you've done. It is the digital equivalent of a resume. It showcases your professional expertise and experience. Again, they're popular with photographers, graphic designers, architects, and other visual professionals because they offer a way to display images and descriptions of work. An image gallery is the most common feature of the portfolio website, displaying albums of images and accompanying details. Portfolio websites aren't just for visual professionals, though. You can also use one to show off a written body of work, making an ideal format for journalists and writers. They can also include video content, which is great for professional speakers, presenters, and actors. If you want your clips of any, TV shows you've been in or any interviews you've ever done, just to see how you are as a public speaker, that is important in a lot of jobs. So you can really use it to suit however you need. If you are just, selling yourself, kind of. You can also include the latest version of your resume or your CV, a professional headshot, and a bio for sure, included in that, just so people can learn about you, because that is important when people are looking to use your services or to hire you for different projects. They want to get a feeling of your vibe and how well you'll work with others or with your clients. Again, when you get this later, there is some examples down here for you to check out, different resources about portfolio websites that you'll be able to access. All right, e-commerce. One of the fastest growing types of websites online today are e-commerce sites. E-commerce means electronic commerce, and it's an umbrella term for collecting payment for products or services through the internet. There are many different ways to implement e-commerce, including ways that aren't even on your own website. You can sell through social media platforms and send and receive money on payment-specific sites such as PayPal. It can be relatively uncomplicated or quite complex, depending on what you want to sell, how many items or services, and how many options there are for your products, such as size or color variants. So, e-commerce is any store. If you go to Costco.com, I mean, that is an incredibly complex, you can buy anything at that store. So as you can imagine, it is really complex, especially, they're adding in the having to have a membership. There's a lot of elements. If you want to sell something simple, say an ebook or other downloadable product, hold on 1 second. Or a ticket to an event where there's general admission seating, then your e-commerce solution can be lightweight. You can often add an e-commerce module into an informational or portfolio website. So again, this is about combining different types of things. So if you just say you are selling prints of some of your work, you're a photographer, you have a portfolio website, you are selling prints of some of your photographs on your website or some different type of merchandise, that could be a pretty nice little module you can add into your portfolio website. But if you'd like to sell multiple products with categories and product variants, then you're likely going to need an online store. Online stores are complex by nature. If you've ever completed a purchase through an online store yourself, think of all the steps you went through searching or browsing to find the product, looking at the description and photos, choosing which, if any, options you wanted, adding it to your shopping cart, completing the checkout process, receiving shipping details and confirmation emails. That's a lot. And you're getting people's, credit card information, which is a lot. There's a lot of stuff to set up and customize if you're the website owner. Many seek professional help when building an online store. And a lot of the platforms that you would be using to build your website have not widgets, but they have e-commerce elements that you can put in, and then they kind of handle all of that really private information, like people's credit card information, addresses, things like that. So if you're new to website creation, I probably wouldn't advise just trying to build it yourself. And if you want to make an e-commerce site, I would say use one of the built-in elements of your whatever website builder you choose. So some key considerations when you're approaching an e-commerce project: security, of course. The last thing anyone wants to worry about is a breach of security on a website, especially when credit card information is involved. Websites that are encrypted are far more secure and are a must for e-commerce. Make sure you're using HTTPS protocols. You'll know because your site has HTTPS at the beginning of its web address. Again, most website builders that you're going to be using will have these kind of features already with them, so you don't have to worry about them, but just always good to confirm. They use e-commerce websites use payment gateways. They offer a digital connection between the customer's payment method and your bank account. If you're given the option to choose which payment gateway you'd like to use, have a look at your fees involved and your anticipated transaction volume to choose which one's right for you. I know that like say if you have an Etsy store, Etsy would obviously handle all of that for you, but you could link your e-commerce site to your Etsy, so it kind of would be connected. And so that's a nice way for you not have to worry about those types of things, like handling payments, especially if it's just for a few items before you get really big. And then integrations connect with bookkeeping software, customer databases, and email marketing. And you want to plan those integrations early to avoid technical headaches later. Really look into, oh, am I going to need some sort of an accounting integration so that when it becomes tax season, like it is right now, I am prepared for that instead of scrambling. And you also want, customer databases. You want to make sure that you can keep that information about all of your customers so you can get customers coming back, ways to contact them about new products, things like that. Really important to build a database of your customers so that you can increase your reach and sell your brand, sell your products, all of that good stuff. All right. Blogs. Everyone's probably heard of a blog. Blogs have been around for as long as the web itself. The word blog is a short form of weblog, and they've grown along with the internet. Blogs originated as rudimentary online diaries or journals. I mean, I had a live journal when I was in high school. Maybe some of the rest of you did. That is a blog. And the styles evolved to include sophisticated online magazines and with multiple authors from all over the world. A blog is similar to a web page, but instead of having static content that's only occasionally updated, a blog has modular content or diary entry like posts displayed in reverse chronological order. So the most recent post is first. A blog can constitute an entire website on its own, or it can be a section of a larger site, such as an informational portfolio or e-commerce site. So again, this is about combining the different types of websites into one that has all the information. So if you can have a blog within your e-commerce site where you talk about new products, how they were designed, what makes them different from your other products, things like that, and just to catch it up with your customers, and ask questions even before they have to be asked. If you're creating some sort of a food product, like where did you source the ingredients, things like that. People love reading about that. There are many blogs on websites that aren't even called blogs. Sometimes blogs take the form of the latest news or industry insights section. So again, communicating with your patrons is awesome. Whatever you want to call it, a blog is a great way to showcase your company's latest news or offer tips and tricks for customers and clients. It also offers a venue for you to share insights about your industry and demonstrate your expertise. Blogs are great for search engine optimization, which we will touch on in a little bit, because they provide quality content for your website. If your blog post answers questions that your customers or clients often have, then you're more likely to appear in search engine results when they're looking for solutions to their queries. So again, great way to communicate with your customers, great way to get new customers who are searching for things that you talk about in your blog. So the three things you should identify when starting a website project are: number one, the website type or style, which we just went over those 5 types. Again, those aren't the only ones. Those are like the major groupings. You can combine them. It's important to identify which one you're thinking of building before you get started, because each website type could require different tools. So again, are you using an e-commerce site? We just talked about how kind of involved that can be, all the different things that you will need to prepare for before you can start selling something by yourself online. Make sure you pick the one that aligns best with your project. Number 2, your website purpose. The next thing you need to consider is the purpose of your website, obviously. Whether it's to inform, entertain, educate, or sell, every website should have a purpose. Think about what your site's purpose is before you start your website project and write it down. when you're brainstorming things, you can have it in your notes app on your phone. You can have a journal. You can have it a Word document. Just have that all written down so that I, for one, always have different ideas popping in my head about different classes. And I just have all these Word documents about just different brainstorms of different things. And then I look at examples and try to like pull in something to create a great program that covers an interesting topic. So write things down, because there's too much going on in the world. Your brain can only hold so much. You should make sure that you don't forget, because that's the worst. You're like, oh my God, I had a really good idea, but now I can't remember what it was. When you're working on the site, you'll have a myriad of decisions to make. It helps to have established your website's purpose beforehand. That way, when you're faced with a tough choice, say whether to include a certain content section or not, you can ask yourself, what best serves the purpose of the site? That question often helps make decisions about website functionality and content and much, much easier. And then you have your website goals. Once you just define the purpose of your website, you'll also need to define its goals. The two are very closely linked, but they are technically different. The purpose of a website is often to support business goals, but the website goals need to be more specific than that. For example, if a company has an overall business goal of making money, the purpose of its website could be to sell products, but selling products shouldn't be the goal of the website. You want to have goals that are specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-bound. And that is SMART. So SMART goals, it's a really great way to remember how to organize your goals. So you want them to be specific. The more specific your purpose and goals are, the better the results will be. Also, you'll be able to measure the results and plan your website accordingly. Measurable. Setting your goals is the first step, but if they're not measurable, there won't be any accountability and no prominent results. Attainable. Setting attainable goals will set you up for success, because we all have big dreams of what we want to do, but it is important to start small, because you can always build on things. But if you put all this money and time into something because you think it's going to be huge to start out with, and then you say have like a ton of excess inventory, or you just don't have the capacity to like provide whatever people are ordering, just start small, and then you can grow that goal year by year to get to your ultimate goal. Again, that goes with realistic. Your website goals must be realistic and timely. They should be time bound. There's no definite deadline. If there's no definite deadline to achieve a goal, it is unlikely that you'll accomplish it. Just being realistic about these things. Let me just see. The session last night pausing to answer one question in the chat. The session from the photographer last night is recorded, and I'll show you how to contact us at the end of this so you can ask for that recording. Website metrics and analytics. Measurement is a key part of setting website goals. The best goals are measurable, and that's why it's the M in your SMART goal framework. But what exactly you're measuring can be tricky. So this is a lot of information. Google Analytics will do all this for you. That is they're pretty much the best website analytics tool that you can use. It is free. You just put in so this would be used after you've created your website and probably had it for, I would say, at least 4 to 6 months before you start looking at the analytics. So it's had time to pick up some pace. But some of the data points available through website analytics or digital reporting tools are known as vanity metrics. They're measurements that make you feel good, such as the number of social media followers you have or the number of visitors to your website. But what do these metrics really tell you about how you're doing? to cut through the noise and find the information that will actually make a difference for your website and your business. So you need to determine a KPI. A KPI is a marketing and business term that stands for key performance indicator. The emphasis here is on the word key. Your KPI should be the one metric that is more important than any other. It should be clear to see how your chosen KPI ties back to your website goal and business goal, and how it will demonstrate whether you're getting closer to meeting your goals. Focus on that and ignore the other data points available to you. Once you've established your KPI, you need to go find it. There are 3 common places to look are your website analytics tool. So again, Google Analytics. They also may be depending on what the platform is you've used to build your website. They might have built-in analytics, but you can also use Google Analytics for yourself. Many website builders such as Shopify, Squarespace, and Wix provide reports detailing how many visitors your site receives, where those visitors came from, and what they did when they were on your website. But again, Google Analytics is kind of the gold standard to use. You want to deal with other digital metrics. Sometimes the data point that will tell you whether you're closer to your website goal can't be found inside your website itself. It may be in another digital tool. For example, if the goal of your website is to collect email addresses for your email newsletter, then the key performance indicator that you're looking for is the number of newsletter signups. Even though people sign up for your website, the data is actually inside your email newsletter tool. Don't be afraid to look outside your website's reporting section or Google Analytics to find that info. And then 3, offline data. It's similar to looking outside your website to find your KPI in another digital tool. You can look at offline data as well. So for example, if your website goal is to have prospective clients call you to book a consultation, then the obvious way to measure whether you're successful is to count the number of phone calls you receive. Seems very simple, but it's important. So maybe you're a real estate agent and you're looking for new clients and you're like, I need people to call us to say they're looking for a house. So we have to measure how many calls we get in a month, a week, whatever. Just because it's not inside a digital dashboard doesn't mean a measurement isn't significant or meaningful. I think sometimes in this day and age, we might focus too much on the things that we can find on the internet, which we love the internet, but talking to people on the phone, having that human connection is really important, especially in different types of work that you might do. So when you first set out to determine which metric to watch as your key performance indicator, you may choose the wrong one, but it's okay to switch your KPI, but only if you find that there's a better way to measure the clean, actionable, insightful data you need. Do not switch up your KPI just because you don't like what it says about your performance. You should first try to improve it by making moves instead of just being like, you know what, this isn't working. I'm giving up and I'm going to have one that's maybe easier. It can be tempting to only look at metrics that make you feel good, but in the end, all that's going to do is boost your ego, not your business's bottom line. So website content, so important. I'm sure we've all gone to a website and been like, wow, this is like exactly what I've been looking for. It feels like they're speaking to me. They know me. The content of the site reflected your situation and what you were looking for, making you feel as if you were in the right place. In that case, I bet you were much more likely to buy what the site was selling or pick up the phone to call the business. That's the power of good copywriting. It can convert prospective customers into buyers, and it's much more rare than it should be, honestly. When composing the words for your website, you'll likely write statements about who you are and what you do. A common formula for business is to state we or I do or make or sell blank for blank. So they blank. You fill in the details of your product or service, your target audience, and the results. You want to center around your audience, your customer. For every time you say we, I, or us in your marketing copy, you should have twice as many you, your, or yours statements. So, you're talking to someone. So talk to them. Don't say, oh, this is about me and this is what I do and yada, yada, yada. You're saying, hey, this is what you're looking for. This will help you do these things. So step one is you want to identify your audience. It sounds obvious, but you can't talk directly to your target audience until you know who they are. I know in library school, we're taught to identify our community because we want to know who we are serving with all of our resources, programs, things like that. This is the same idea. So you want to do a brainstorming session with your colleagues and coworkers, or if you are just a one-person business, talk to your friends. Who are your best clients or customers? What do you love about them? What do they have in common? Write that all down again. Step 2, interview. Make a list of your 5 or 6 of your best customers or clients and reach out to them. And again, if you're just starting your business and you don't really have customers or clients, reach out to people who might be interested in the product or service that you're selling. And ask them for a video or phone call. Video might be nicer, so you can record it. I mean, it doesn't have to be video, but you could, if it's on a Zoom, you can record those. Ask your customers to tell you about what was going on when they were looking for a product or service like yours. What were they looking for exactly? How would they describe it? What were they feeling? What, if any, hesitations or concerns did they have? Were they in a rush, or were they taking their time to decide? Be careful not to lead them to specific answers. You want to be open-ended with your questions so you can listen to what words they use to describe their situation. And these words will be important for when you are looking at SEO, your search engine optimization, because keywords are crucial. And then you want, after you have these recordings, after you've spoken to everyone, you want to look for patterns. So you want to go through recordings and customer interviews, see if there are any similarities. Look for related situations or sentiments, and note words that come up repeatedly. Again, keywords. Step 4, write from their perspective. Once you better understand the place that your target audience is coming from, you can write your website copy. Use the words that they use. This goes again to SEO. You don't want to use necessarily industry jargon, depending on what industry you are in. You want to be more plain spoken because you're thinking about what people are typing in the search engine when they're looking for the type of product that you sell. Describe what they're looking for and how your product or service is perfect for them. Be sure to center their experience, their needs, their wants throughout. You can also go through correspondence you may have with your customers to look for repeatedly used words, phrases, and situations. Emails that are sent to your company's customer service inbox are great for this. So are comments left on social media posts or on review websites. Again, you're looking for similar attitudes and repeated uses of the same phrase. Put those sentiments and words into your website copy, and you'll attract more of those target customers to you. So, speaking of search engine optimization, SEO it's a little complicated. So I'm going to show a brief little video so they can better explain it to you. But really how a search engine works is crawling, indexing, analyzing, and delivering results. And SEO is very important for that.
Your website should attract new potential customers. One way to do so is by showing up in search results. Methods of making your website appear when people search for the things you sell, like children's clothes, are called search engine optimization, or SEO for short. Think of it this way. SEO is like a shop window display. You want to make the shop window display interesting and attractive. SEO is about using the right words and serving relevant information to your potential customers on your websites. This can be done in a few different ways. Make sure your website contains useful information like inventory, selection, pricing, location, and hours. Other best practices include create short, meaningful page titles. Use page headings that convey the subject of the page. Include a detailed About Us section that includes contact information, a description of your business, countries where you operate if relevant, and, if it applies, store locations and opening hours. If your website contains images and videos, make sure you describe them with alt text tags and other attributes to ensure that Google understands what they're about and that users with disabilities can also access the content. You should also make sure to use images to illustrate what you are selling and describe the items using keywords such as brands, colors, and descriptions of the items. Additionally, you'll want to pay close attention to image accuracy, descriptive wording, and relevancy of page titles. You should also use the techniques and checklists we've mentioned in the previous episode to ensure your website appears in search results when people are looking for your products. We've talked about positive methods to increase the visibility of your site, but there are also not so positive methods. These include things like adding invisible text to a website to trick people into viewing content. This, as well as other devious techniques designed to deceive indexing algorithms, are often described as black hat SEO and should be avoided. Google has many ways to detect techniques that intend to manipulate search rankings. These safeguards help ensure that search results remain relevant and accurate for users. As such, most of these black hat techniques don't work, and in the long run will amount to a waste of your time and money. Google provides tools to help you manage your SEO. Sign up for Search Console to see how your website is performing. Search Console is a free tool provided by Google to help you run your website and monitor its performance. It even sends you emails in case there is a problem, so you can focus on your business. If you don't want to do this alone, you can hire a professional. In the next episode, we'll talk about how to find and hire a great SEO expert. Do you have any comments about this video or this series?
Okay. So again, SEO is a little complicated. It is a thing that you want to learn more about. As a Boston Public Library card holder, either e-card or physical card, you have access to LinkedIn Learning, which has hundreds of thousands of videos on countless topics, including SEO. So I definitely suggest that you check out a tutorial about SEO. They will be longer, more in depth, and really help you optimize your website to its best potential. All right, content images. So importance of images. Images are crucial on websites as they add meaning and set a tone. A carefully chosen photo can tell a story that text alone cannot. Images help differentiate a website and create a memorable impression. So you want to select your images wisely. I will always suggest using your own images, especially if you're selling a product. If you're selling products, there should be pictures of those products. There shouldn't be stock photos of similar products. You want them to make sure that they're responsive to fit different devices. Again, most website builders will help you with that. Because the worst thing is when you go to a website and like the images are not loading. so annoying. I've seen it a million times. You want to compress them so that they don't slow down your page speed and you're avoiding load times. People have very short attention spans. So if they have gotten to your website and the picture's not loading, they can't see the product, they could just leave and find a different seller of the same product. And then you always want to include alt text to enhance accessibility and improve SEO. So what alt text is a description of what the image is, and that is for again, both accessibility, so people who might be visually impaired, so that it'll read what the image is. And then again, for the alt text as that, to improve SEO, as that video kind of touched on, because what search engines like Google do are crawl through your website to find those keywords, and that keyword could be in your alt text. It's a good place to put keywords for your products. So when planning a website, start by listing the required pages. These are just website design things. So navigation, you list required pages before designing. There is you can do something called card sorting, which is kind of like writing down on, cards what the different pages you would like on your website, and kind of putting them underneath each other, across, seeing like what you would want your website to look at, what can be combined into one, because you don't want to have too many pages. You don't want to get too granular. You want people to be able to find the information. You want to prioritize crucial content like product pages over legal pages. You want to follow navigation conventions, logo and top left, main menu nearby. Use multiple menus for large sites, e.g. Footers for less crucial pages. Ensure navigation adapts to different screen sizes. Keep menu names clear and concise. Colors, you want them to match the branding. Again, that goes back to the importance of consistency with your brand across all platforms, most importantly, your website. You want to ensure sufficient contrast between text and background for accessibility, and avoid low contrast text, and ensure links are distinguishable. You want it to look good. Layouts, list required pages before designing. Prioritize. Oh, this is the same thing. Fonts, use 1 or 2 primary fonts, no more than 3. We talk about this in our intro to Canva class as well. So make sure you're, again, when you can, use the same fonts throughout all of your marketing and branded content. And there's plenty of different things to use to find the fonts that you want. So this is a little just comparison chart that I made. Again, it just is to help you choose a website builder. There's not a magical one size fits all. Obviously, these all have different elements, like different free trial lengths, pricing, different features that they have, like AI tools, which could be very useful. If they have e-commerce features, again, those can be very nice, because, which they all do, especially in this age, because you don't want to have to worry about trying to build your own shop fully from scratch. It's too much for even people who are familiar with website building. So you want to look at, do you need specific features like your robust blog, a portfolio listing, an online store, or online appointments? Different platforms will be able to provide you with different things. Are you willing to pay extra for more features as you grow? So they might have different tiers of their service. So you could start on a lower tier and then be like, you know what, but I will eventually want to have an e-commerce site, and that might be an add-on, but it might be nice to have, so you don't have to move your website to a different platform, which could be annoying. And you need unique functionality like quizzes, polls, lead forms, or members only sections. When it comes to buying a domain name, there's a lot of steps. I just kind of like did this out for you. Please feel free to look over it later. But step one, choosing a domain name, pretty obvious. Step two, checking the availability of that domain name. Choosing a domain registering your domain, add privacy protection, complete payment and confirm ownership, and connect your domain to a website. So these are just the steps. Nice to have it all listed out just so you can know what you need to do and make sure you're not forgetting anything. So again, LinkedIn Learning is awesome. I love it. They have so many courses. I think 16,000 is probably a very low number. Offered in a ton of different languages, and this is free through the library. So when you log into your BPL account on our website, just search the website for LinkedIn Learning and you'll log in through there. Don't just go to linkedin.com. But check it out because it just has everything. Different courses you can take. It's pretty cool. And then thank you so much. You can reach me at drose@bpl.org, or you can just fill out this form, bit.ly/Kablick Tech Help. And that will also go right to me. For any resources, programs, things like that, you can go to bpl.org/KBLIC, and that is our homepage, and it has all the information about us there. And with that, let's see. Social media conversion rates. So that when you're looking at your metrics is how many people saw an ad or saw your, say, Instagram page, clicked on the product. There's like stores, often people selling things on Instagram usually have a link tree so that you can kind of go to all their products or see all their postings about their different products and to get to their kind of landing page. So that social media conversion rates is like looking how many people clicked on a link, clicked on something on your Instagram, and then bought it. Difference between a free plan and a free trial. So usually free trials are just that. They are free trials of a service that you will eventually need to pay for. Free plan usually is like the lowest tier of one of these platforms. So it's not going to have all the features, but it is free and you don't have to ever pay for anything. You apply if you want to upgrade and like put an e-commerce widget in there or different types of features, integrations into your website, you will have to pay for those, but there are some platforms that are just free. And that's it. Any other questions? You can also unmute yourself and ask them or type them, whichever you'd like.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Maria. Okay. I have one question. When you create a website, sometimes now you can use ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
And also, how do you compete with AIs, especially when it's a SEO, the search web optimization? Like, how can you compete? Because if someone using AI, of course, they're gonna have the keywords to be on top.
You can use AI, you can use ChatGPT. There's nothing wrong with that. I wouldn't say that you shouldn't be afraid of using it, but also be like, don't just take it as like, don't put in, hey, ChatGPT, make me a website for my olive oil company, and then just copy and paste that into your website because you want to put in things about your actual company, not just what AI has created for you.
Okay, so it's like a kind of mix. Get like base, maybe the base with the experience of AI, and then put your like your own details, so can make it more like, okay, this is a human because
Yeah,
it
you
has
want
this
to exactly,
little. Oh, okay,
exactly. You want to personalize it.
exactly.
Don't be afraid of using ChatGPT. I think it's a great resource for the base, for a template, say. But you want it like I know our in the workforce development department, they often tell people to use ChatGPT to get started on a cover letter. But obviously, you're not just going to take that cover letter that the machine spits out and just send that. You want to customize it, but you can definitely use it as a template. Don't be afraid of that. But definitely make sure that you are customizing always.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because I don't have problem using. I think I create my like my name, my brand using ChatGPT. But however, I don't want to compete like because if I'm using it, I'm sure everybody's using it. So that
Oh,
was
yeah.
my kind of question. Everybody's gonna be perfect. So how can I be above these people?
Exactly. No, yeah. Use it as a template. Never be afraid of that. But definitely don't just take it as this is what it's going to look like forever. You want to put your own information and your own creativity in there, but
Thank
it's a
you.
starting point.
Thank
You can email me if you would like the recording for the photographer. Probably I have to edit and stuff, so probably won't be out till like next week. But yeah, shoot me an email. I'll send it to you. I didn't include WordPress in my platform discussion because you can certainly use WordPress. There's nothing wrong with it. It is pretty simple. They have free plans for WordPress. But WordPress is kind of like the older one, but there's nothing wrong with using WordPress. Please feel free. I know it's like really great for like things like blogs, portfolios. Um, yes, there's a free version of WordPress. Um, I think there's WordPress.org and WordPress.com. One of them is free, one of them is not. I would, it's pretty easy. It's pretty drag and drop. I've taken classes about WordPress. I would definitely just check out LinkedIn Learning, and there's definitely a course about WordPress, about just creating a pretty basic website to check that out. But yeah, again, that's WordPress is really good. I think I used WordPress in grad school for our blog that we had to make. So again, it's really good for things like that, for like a blog. But I do think that they have different integrations. But yeah, check out LinkedIn Learning, search for WordPress, and I'm sure there's different tutorials on building your website there. You're welcome. You will also be, I'll send you this presentation right after we're done here. There'll also be a survey for you to fill out about the class. So I appreciate your feedback. Just always great for us to be able to continue with these awesome classes that we like to do and just see what else you'd like to learn about. Yes, I know it's a lot. It's a lot of information in an hour. But that's why I'm definitely going to send you this, and I will get the recording to you hopefully early next week. All right, but if no one else has any other questions, again, if anything comes up, please feel free to email me. Expect the next WebCraft, the next one of this class will be on April 25th, I believe. You can check our website for that. It's up there. And then our next Intro to Canva class is on April 11th. And then our next The Business of Art class is on April 23rd with Paige Mulhern, who is the creative director of Best Bees, which is a nationwide bee company, which is very cool. She is a good friend of mine, and it's a really interesting look at how, as an artist, you can use your skills for different things. But yeah, just check out bpl.org/KBLIC, and we'll have all of our upcoming programs for all of our different areas of expertise. No problem. And also, I'm going to put it in this chat. We have a monthly newsletter, and you can sign up for it by going to bit.ly/KBLIC news, and that'll have a link to our calendar, as well as all of our upcoming events, all of our resources that we have. It's great. So check that out as well. But yes, feel free to reach out to me, and hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. And thank you so much for coming.